It is Dokken right here on your classic metal show from the Dysfunctional Release, featuring the most popular lineup of Dokken with Don and George and Jeff and Mick. Great comeback release when they reunited back in 94. Holy cow, it's been 22 years. 22 years.
Well, it wasn't as good as the follow-up album, Shadowlife.
Yeah, well, Shadowlife was a gem.
Yeah, I mean, you don't play that one enough.
Yeah.
When's the last time you ever played that?
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people don't know the real story behind Shadowlife.
Okay.
This guy, the guy that wrote us at the very early part of the show that was complaining that we didn't give Lynch enough credit.
Right.
And then he says, just remember George and Jeff wrote all those songs. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Well, Dysfunctional was basically going to be a Don Dokken solo release. It was going to be the Don Dokken Band. It was going to be the follow-up to Up From the Ashes.
Right.
And during the writing process and putting this album together, he basically touch base with Jeff again.
Right.
And Jeff, I guess I don't know how exactly, if he, threw a couple of songs over to Jeff and said, just kind of doing the olive branch thing. It's just like, what kind of a spin would you put on these?
Right.
And then they basically said, well, let's see what Mick thinks. And so they basically engaged Mick.
Okay.
In this, and the whole record was already written. Don had already written the entire record.
Okay.
And it was already pretty much recorded except for the guitar parts.
Okay.
And that's when they enlisted Lynch to come in and just lay down the guitar. Lynch did not write any of these songs.
Okay.
So the next album, because of the friction within the band.
Right.
Don conceded and said, okay, you know what? I'm going to back out of the next release. I'm just going to back out. You guys can go ahead and write it. Mick, Jeff, and George were all living in Arizona.
Okay.
And Don obviously lives in the LA area.
Right.
And he basically told Mick, Jeff, and George to write the record,
okay,
send him the tracks, and he would put lyrics to it. Okay. So that Dysfunctional was basically written by Jeff, George, and Mick.
Well, they did better than Don ever did.
That's my point. So there's a turd that can't even be polished.
Yeah, that thing is bad.
And because of what it ended up being, it doesn't even have the Dokken logo on it.
Right.
Don told me years ago that because it was such a shit record, he didn't even want to put the official logo on it. So they used some kind of generic font. So if you ever notice the Shadowlife release, it doesn't have the Dokken logo.
Yeah, it just has like some writing or something.
Yeah, it says Dokken on it, but it doesn't have the official, stamp.
Would you put that album as one of the top 5 all-time worst albums?
Oh, absolutely.
Isn't that ironic that 2 of the top 5 have George Lynch?
Yeah, it was garbage.
And so is Smoke This.
Yeah.
What are your 5?
What's that?
What are your top 5 worst?
Oh, worst. I mean, I think I can only revert back to, what we've covered here on the show. I mean, that Scorpions Eye to Eye.
Yep.
Terrible. Shadowlife. Terrible. Smoke This. Terrible. Gene Simmons Asshole. Terrible.
Methods of Mayhem. Pickles. You want it.
Yeah.
And we always forget Bag. Remember Bag?
Yeah, wasn't that a Gene Simmons product?
Yeah, that was Gene's first new venture. That band was so bad you can't even buy that anymore.
Yeah, that's terrible.
It's like completely out of print, like scrubbed from the internet even.
Sure.
so bad.
Yeah. Scotty from the Commonwealth. Jeff Pilson is a musical genius.
He's pretty good.
He's real good. I mean, he's multi-talented. He's producer, keyboardist, bassist, lyricist.
Yeah, he's got a hell of an ear, that's for sure.
Yeah, he does.
It is still weird watching him just fucking thrashing out with Foreigner, though.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I'm beyond happy for Jeff. Like Jeff is like the nicest. Forget all his musical whatever. Jeff's the nicest guy you're ever gonna meet.
Mm-hmm.
He's really a nice guy, and I'm happy for that guy. You know, that guy's considering that he was in a band that, I mean, Dokken was successful, but it was not like retirement successful. You know?
Well, they were on the verge. They were right on that verge of being one of the biggest, right. up and coming arena acts out there when it just imploded.
Right.
If they had stayed together after the Monsters of Rock tour with Back for the Attack selling platinum in 2 weeks.
Right.
I mean, it literally sold 1 million records in 2 weeks.
Right.
They would have been the next arena act.
They probably would have. They probably would have, because Back for the Attack's a great record, and it had easily 6 singles if they had momentum pushing it.
Mm-hmm.
But and they had the movie thing, and they had all the pieces in place to do it, but it just fell apart. But man, oh man, the fact of the matter is they did not make retirement money, and because of that, Jeff had to keep going and doing other shit. But good for him, now that he's found the Foreigner gig.
Sure.
Because he's been there, 12 years or something now?
Yeah, it's getting up. I think it's getting closer to 14 years now.
He's probably been in longer than most of the originals.
Yeah.
At this point. Good on him. I like Jeff.
Yeah.
I always like hearing that he's doing well.
Yeah, I do too. And I'll be seeing him in 2 weeks.
Oh, well, tell him I said hello.
I saw him at NAMM.
And you didn't tell him I said hello.
Yeah. He just walked by me at NAMM, and I grabbed him by the sleeve, and he turned around. Oh, what are you doing out here?
Nice.
He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's good people.
Yeah.